Welcome to the new episode of Seminar in Vocational and Technology Education, the development of technical vocational education in the Philippines. As we all know, technical vocational education is one of the major components of Philippine educational system, and the study of it must include its history. It must begin with a sound knowledge and understanding of its beginnings and developments. We must be familiar with its roots and stages of development as a major aspect of Philippine education. That is why, join my group as we discuss the main events that had a profound impact on the development of technical vocational education in the Philippines. From the pre-Spanish period, Spanish colonization, American occupation, Japanese period, post-war to present. So that at the end, we will be able to appreciate the development of technology education as an integral part of Philippine education. Understand the nature and scope of technology education during the pre-Spanish times to the present time. Understand how vocational education emerged and developed during the Spanish period, and know how technical and vocational education expanded and contributed to the development of the country during the colonial times.
Good day, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our first speaker this afternoon. Our first speaker is a graduate of BS Computer Engineering at Adamson University. She took her Master's of Science in Information Technology at St. Paul University. She has taught at Adamson University for 8 years and worked in Information Technology and Management Department. She also worked abroad as machine operator for 2 years and as a teacher for 2 years. Currently, she is a senior high school teacher and a learning resources management and development system coordinator at DepEd Bataan for almost 4 years. And of course, she is not only a very hardworking teacher, but also a woman of courage and a responsible solo parent. Everyone, please join me in welcoming our first guest speaker in Amazing SBTE Group 2 channel, Miss Cheryl D. Cordova.
Come on, let us go back and find out what happened during the pre-Spanish period. Don't you know that long before Ferdinand Magellan passed through the Philippines in 1521, the early Filipinos had already a better life and developed some form of formal education? Number 1. Engineering skills in the construction and in architecture. We all know that Philippines is very rich in natural resources that early Filipinos had enough for themselves and their families. They had forests, rivers, and seas yielded plentiful supplies of meat, fish, and other foodstuffs. But later, their diet became more varied, especially when they learned to till the land using farming techniques that were quite advanced for their time. The Banawi rice terraces is one such proof of our ancestors' ingenuity. This only shows that the early Filipinos had some knowledge of practical engineering skills in the construction of rice terraces and already had an advanced concept of agrarian equity. They also had skills in architecture as evidenced by their expertise in making idols of wood, stone, and gold. Number 2. Very good in trading and diplomatic relations. Early Filipinos had already established trading and diplomatic relations with countries as far away as the Middle East. In lieu of cash, they exchanged precious minerals, manufactured goods, other things with Arabs, Indians, Chinese, and several other nationalities. During this period, many foreigners permanently settled here after marveling at the beauty of our country and its people. Number 3. Proficient in the art of war. Early Filipinos, as what we pictured them as spear-carrying and bahag-wearing tribesmen, were also very proficient in the art of war. Aside from wielding swords and spears, they also knew how to make and fire guns and cannons. Ra Sulaiman, in particular, was said to have owned a huge 17 feet long iron cannon. Aside from the offensive weapons, our ancestors also knew how to construct huge fortresses and body armor. The Moros living in the south, for instance, often wore armor that covered them from head to toe. And yes, they also carried guns with them. Number 4. Well-versed in ancient system of writing. Early Filipinos educated themselves very well using the ancient system of writing called baybayin. Number 5. Children are well trained by parents. Though education was still decentralized, children were provided more vocational training but lesser academics by their parents or by their tribal tutors. The father taught his trade and occupational activities to his sons, like how to be fighters, hunters, farmers, fishermen, sailors, miners, shipbuilder, and smiths, while the mother prepared her daughters with domestic arts like sewing, weaving, cooking, stock raising, and other household arts. Therefore, it is clear that early Filipinos some knowledge of practical engineering skills in the construction and in architecture, very good at domestic and foreign trade, proficient in the art of war, well versed in the ancient system of writing, good training of their children, oral and written literature, arts and science, calendars, weights and measures, government and laws during the pre-Spanish period indicates the presence of some form of education that was installed to prepare the people for livelihood and useful membership in their own society, although these were carried out in a primitive form. Today, technical and vocational educators consider this type of training for livelihood as the earliest form of vocational education. Now, let us have a glimpse of what happened to our education system during the Spanish period from 1565 to 1898. On February 13, 1565, Legazpi's expedition landed in Cebu Island. After a short struggle with the natives, he proceeded to Leyte, then to Camiguin and to Bohol. There, Legazpi made a blood compact with the chieftain, Datu Sikatuna, as a sign of friendship. Spain's primary aim and intention in the Philippines was to spread their religion, the Roman Catholicism. When the Spanish first arrived in the Philippines, education of the indigenous people was mainly viewed as the duty of religious organizations. Parish friars put forth great effort to teach the indigenous people to read, believing that literacy was the key to better lifestyles. That is why the Spanish missionaries established schools immediately after reaching the islands. The Augustinians opened a school in Cebu in 1565. The Franciscans in 1577 immediately took to the task of teaching improving literacy, aside from the teaching of new industrial and agricultural techniques. Jesuits followed in 1581. The Dominicans in 1587, which they started a school in their first mission at Bataan. In 1589, Colegio de Santa Potenciana was the first school and college for girls that opened in the Philippines. In 1590, the Jesuits established Colegio de Manila, later renamed as Universidad de San Ignacio in 1621. On August 1, 1595, the Universidad de San Carlos was founded in Cebu by the Jesuits, initially named as the Colegio de San Ildefonso. It closed down in 1769 as a result of the expulsion of the Jesuits from the Philippines and didn't open again until 1783. In 1601, the Jesuits also founded the Colegio de San Jose and took over the management of a school that became the Escuela Municipal in 1859, later renamed Ateneo Municipal de Manila in 1865, now the Ateneo de Manila University. On April 28, 1611, the Universidad de Santo Tomas was founded by the Dominicans in Manila, initially named as the Colegio de Nuestra Señora del Santísimo Rosario, and later renamed as Colegio de Santo Tomas. This is the oldest existing university in the Philippines and in Asia, now the University of Santo Tomas. In 1620, the Dominicans on their part had the Colegio de San Juan de Letran in Manila. All of them provided courses leading to different prestigious degrees like the Bachelor in Arts. That, by the 19th century, included science subjects such as physics, chemistry, natural history, and mathematics. In 1630, San Juan de Letran for the orphan boy was established. And in 1621 also, the Franciscan nuns was established the Real Monasterio de Santa Clara, or now Saint Clare Convent of Manila, the first nunnery in the Philippines. Another school for women was opened in 1632, Colegio de Santa Isabel. It is now the oldest existing college for girls in the country. The institution was originally built to care for orphaned Spanish girls. Eventually, it became an exclusive school for the daughters of affluent Spaniards. Other schools and colleges for girls were Santa Catalina, Santa Rosa, and La Concordia. Several religious congregations also established schools for orphaned girls who could not educate themselves. In 1640, the Universidad de San Felipe de Austria was established in Manila. It was the first public university created by the Spanish government in the Philippines, but it closed down in 1643. In 1754, the first vocational schools that were opened include the Artillery School, in 1812, the Naval Academy, and in 1820, the Marine School. Apparently, these schools were opened to train Filipinos to serve in the Spanish forces and the Merchant Marine Service of Spain. On January 1, 1820, a nautical school was created which offered a 4-year course of study for the profession of pilot of merchant marine that included subjects such as arithmetic, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, physics, hydrography, meteorology, navigation, and pilotage. In 1839, a School of Commercial Accounting and a School of French and English Languages were established, followed by the establishment of a School of Fine Arts in 1849, where drawing, painting, sculpturing, and engraving were taught. On November 4, 1861, the first School of Arts and Trades, now Don Honorio Ventura College of Arts and Trades, was established at Bacolor, Pampanga, through the initiative of Father Juan Zita and Felino Hill, who were both Filipinos. The school was supported by voluntary contributions from the natives in the province and donations made by Father Zita. Unfortunately, the school had to be closed when the school burned down for the second time in 1894. Spanish education was centered on religion. Aside from catechism, the friars taught Latin and Spanish grammar, languages used in religious ceremonies. In essence, the Spanish educational system was meant to keep the natives faithful in order to keep the church's authority over the lives of the Indios or colonized Filipinos. This system continued until the introduction of the modern public education system in 1863. On December 20, 1863, the free access to modern public education of all Filipinos was made possible through the enactment of the Education Decree of 1863 by Queen Isabella II. The Education Decree of 1863 provided for the establishment of at least two free primary schools, one for boys and another for girls, in each town under the responsibility of the municipal government. It also commanded the creation of a free public normal school to train men as teachers, supervised by the Jesuits. One of these schools was the Escuela Normal Elemental, which in 1896 became the Escuela Normal Superior de Maestros de Manila. The Spanish government established a school for midwives in 1879, and the Escuela Normal Superior de Maestros or the Superior Normal School for female teachers in 1892. The agricultural school, which was organized in 1889, was established in the city of Manila instead of organizing it in the countryside where extensive agriculture was practiced. The city's botanical garden was given to the school and buildings were rented of instruction. Two kinds of three-year courses were offered, namely agricultural expert and overseer of farm. In 1890, the government established a trade school in Manila known as the Escuela de Artes y Oficios. This school is the forerunner of the Philippine School of Arts and Trades, which is presently known as the Technological University of the Philippines. There was a plan to operate similar institutions in other cities like Iloilo, Cebu, Ilocos Sur, and other places, but it was only in Iloilo where a similar trade school was established in 1893. The government also rebuilt the trade school in Bacolor, Pampanga in 1892. These trade schools offered such courses as general course, mechanical engineering, electricity, building construction, and commerce. We have seen that the coming of the Spaniards to our country marked our Christianization and the introduction of Western thought and culture as well as technology. The establishment of all these universities, colleges, vocational schools, parochial schools linked with churches to teach catechism to the natives and where education was managed, supervised, and controlled by the friars during the Spanish colonial period, plus the forced labor, really played a major role in the transformation of Filipinos. Though the educational system, which focused on religious instruction, failed by withholding the Filipinos to learn other bodies of knowledge and to be more productive in life, it somehow helped eventually our country to have a good education system. Just watch the glimpse of our country's past from the first Spanish period to Spanish colonization. Again, this is Cheryl Cordova reporting from the amazing SVTE Group 2 channel. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and keep safe always.
It is a great pleasure for me to introduce to you our next anchor for today, who will give us a wide overview about technical and vocational education during the American period. She is a licensed nutritionist, dietitian, and a teacher as well. She previously taught at O.B. Montessori Center and Miriam College before joining the public school in 2018. Presently, she is a dressmaking grade 10 teacher at Mariano Marcos Memorial High School. Everyone, let us hear from Marian C. Vergara.
Welcome to the Saturday edition of Amazing History here at SVTE channel. Today, we're going to talk about the development of technical vocational education in the Philippines during the American occupation. The United States entered the Spanish-American War in 1898. By virtue of that war, the Philippines was transferred to the United States in payment of
$23 million to Spain. On the 10th of December 1898, the Treaty of Peace between the United States and Spain was signed. Article 3 of the treaty ceded the whole Philippine Islands to the United States. As time went on and social conditions changed in the Philippines, it became increasingly apparent that educational changes at the other levels would have to be made. A change in the objectives and content of the intermediate course was made effective in 1909. There were different courses offered. The general course, for those who wished to pursue higher academic goals, and the other courses intended for preparing the students who had a different calling. This is the time the technical vocational course was given birth during the American occupation. The Manila trade schools were established during this period, including the Central Luzon Agricultural College, the University of the Philippines, and the Philippine Schools of Arts and Trades, which is now known as Technological University of the Philippines. The curriculum underwent a major change as industrial work was prescribed for all ages below the high school level. Boys and girls took the same courses except for the subject known as industrial work, which was provided during the separate training activities. Boys underwent training in agriculture, woodworking, basketry, and clay molding, whereas girls were developed into having lace making, sewing, housekeeping, and other home-related activities. The learning of basic literacy skills through English, as well as practical training in various vocational and home industries, remained paramount among the priorities of the school program throughout the American colonial period. As a single subject, industrial work took about twice as much time as all the other courses, pointing to the importance school officials gave to the training of Filipinos for gainful livelihood, especially along the areas of handicrafts, agriculture, and other exportable products. The Commission, on its report for the year 1901, commented on the demand from the provinces for teachers capable of giving instruction in manual training and trades, and remarked that trade schools, if established in sufficient numbers and properly organized and conducted, will do more than almost any other agency to improve the lives of the Filipino students. Subject during the upgraded primary school in 1904 includes industrial work and drawing. For grade 1, they have included stick laying, paper folding, paper weaving, and sandwork. Whereas for grade 2, they included drawing, handiwork, and writing. For grade 3, they have included agriculture for boys and housekeeping and plain sewing for girls. For grade 5, they have included agriculture for boys, housekeeping, and sewing for girls. When it comes to the 6th grades, they have included ironwork for boys, housekeeping, and nursing for girls. According to the report of the Philippine Commission of 1903, industrial instruction was emphasized and systematized. In 1912, 21,618 boys and 125,303 girls, representing 91% of the enrollment, were engaged in industrial work such as manual trading, trade work like school gardening, farming, housekeeping, making hats, and basketry. The articles made by students were remarkable for both their quality and diversity. In 1912, the Philippines was able to export 612,475 hats. In the next fiscal year, 1,025,596. The increase largely due to the school influence. Industrial schools in all parts of the islands introduced and developed slipper making industry, embroidery, conserving and preserving fruits and vegetables. As the industrial arts were further developed, substantial returns were realized. The secondary vocational curricula were reintroduced in public schools in 1918. These revisions of the curricula lasted until 1941. The following courses were offered: agriculture, commerce, home economics, and trade. Training in the household arts in the Philippine public schools began in the primary school. Instruction in cooking, housekeeping, home nursing, and sewing were given in the intermediate grades. The emphasis on the practical side of the home economics course has been much commended. This course led to the secondary home economics course. Since 1924, the elementary trade schools have been gradually converted into secondary trade schools. The aim was to raise the standard of the vocational schools and to attract mature students. One of the best equipped secondary schools in the Philippines is the Philippine School of Arts and Trades, located in Manila, and is supported by the insular government. Its capacity is 800, and the student body is composed of boys coming from all parts of the islands. Each student takes a shop course which requires 3 hours, equivalent or daily, for 4 years, and had a full academic course of the same number of years. The following courses were offered in this school: woodworking, building construction, ironworking, drafting, and surveying. Students in this course are selected with great care as to physical strength and mental ability, and are under the supervision of the best, qualified, and most experienced teachers available, especially in shop work. Methods of instruction utilize the practical method of teaching and visual aids. The United States took over the Philippines from Spain in 1898 and ruled the islands for 48 years. In this short period of time of colonizing the Philippines, America had realized her initial claims. The United States made major contributions to the betterment of the Filipino people, and one of them is in the area of education. It is during their time that the technical vocational courses were prioritized and systematized, which we greatly benefit up to this day. This is Marian Vergara saying thank you for listening, and I'll see you again in the next edition of Amazing History. Our next speaker is a graduate of Eulogio Amang Rodriguez of Science and Technology in Nagtahan, Manila. She has taught at St. John Academy, San Beda College, and Miriam College. She is now a grade 9 home economics teacher at Mariano Marcos Memorial High School in Santa Ana, Manila. Let us put our hands together to welcome our third speaker, Mrs. Evangeline C. Dolong.
This is The Amazing History, featuring the development of technical vocational education in the Philippines during Japanese period. The Japanese occupation happened in 1942 to 1945. The Empire of Japan occupied the Commonwealth of the Philippines during World War II. In February 1942, the Japan government made some changes in the system of education. These changes revolve in stopping independence on Western countries like the US and Great Britain. They included Nihongo and abolished English as a medium of instruction and as a subject. In June 1942, Military Order No. 2 mandated the teaching of Tagalog, Philippine history, and character of education to Filipino students, with emphasis on love for work and dignity of labor. Classes were reopened in elementary schools, vocational schools, and normal schools. Institution of higher learning giving courses in agriculture, medicine, fisheries, and engineering. Filipino children went to school to learn Japanese songs and games. And also, there was a streak of censorship of textbooks and other learning materials. 6 basic principles of Japanese education. First, realization of new order promote friendly relationships between Japan and the Philippines. Second, foster a new Filipino culture base. And the third, endeavor to elevate the morals of people, giving up overemphasis of materialism. Fourth, diffusion of the Japanese language in the Philippines. Fifth, promotion of vocational courses. And sixth, to inspire people with the spirit to love labor. That's all for today. This is Evangeline C. Dolong. See you on the next story. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Our speaker graduated at Eulogio Amang Rodriguez of Science and Technology. Currently, she is the grade 7 garments teacher at General Mariano Alvarez Technical High School. Please welcome our fourth and last speaker for this afternoon, Ms. Catherine May D. Gahunya.
Good afternoon, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Welcome to today's edition of the History and Development of Technical and Vocational Education from post-war to present. I'm Catherine Gahunya, and this is The Amazing History. Recently, we have watched how the Spaniards, Japanese, and Americans contributed greatly to the development of technical and vocational education. Today, let us know how TVE changed after the colonization until the 20th century. TVE has gone through different periods after the Americans, from the period of rehabilitation, period of nationalization and expansion, period of growth, Marcos era, to EDSA revolution and present. As soon as Philippine independence was restored, several changes in the educational curricula transpired during the period of rehabilitation. The three secondary vocational curricula, such as agriculture, trade, and homemaking, were introduced in secondary education to train boys in modern and scientific farming and girls in food preparation, home management, and other household arts. In addition to the Act promoting home industries, four-year teacher education programs in vocational education was formulated, thus enabling vocational teachers to earn a professional degree in their respective fields of study. From the period of rehabilitation, the technical and vocational education progressed to the period of nationalization and expansion, which took place from 1950 to 1959. During the 1950s, four national vocational schools were converted into state or chartered colleges, while two new state colleges were established. In 1950, the Central Luzon Agriculture School was elevated into university status as the Central Luzon State University. In 1952, the Philippine School of Commerce was converted into Polytechnic University of the Philippines. After almost 6 decades of leadership in the field of industrial education in the Philippines, the Philippine School of Arts and Trades was elevated into its present status as Technology University of the Philippines in 1978. The State College for Muslim Filipinos, known as the Mindanao Institute of Technology, was converted into University of Southern Mindanao on March 13, 1978. And Bukidnon National Agriculture School of Industry became Central Mindanao University. On June 14, 1956, the Samar Institute of Technology was established in Catarman, Samar, and later was converted into University of Eastern Philippines. In 1972 and 78, Rizal Technological Colleges and Eulogio Amang Rodriguez Institute of Science and Technology were established as state colleges. Another major milestone during this period was the authorization to grant degrees to students graduating in four-year technology teacher education curricula. On this period, an apprenticeship unit was also created in the vocational education, which aid in developing manpower by giving non-formal training in cooperation with industry. A major revision of the elementary education curriculum and general secondary curriculum was also made in 1957. The educational planners saw it wise to include work education as a major phase of the elementary curriculum. The purpose is to develop a more rounded person equipped with the knowledge and skills of the world of work and imbued with good work habits and attitudes. On the other hand, 2-on-2 plan was developed for secondary education. This program called for all general secondary schools, public or private, to include vocational courses as a part of the program. The first 2 years in this plan was devoted to general education and the last 2 for specialization. On the year 1960 to 1965, PVE entered the period of growth. It started with the creation of the Bureau of Vocational Education on the year 1963. The Bureau was created for the purpose of strengthening, promoting, coordinating, and expanding the programs of vocational education, but was later on dissolved and was re-established as Bureau of Technical and Vocational Education by virtue of Education Act of 1982. The vocational schools almost doubled in a period of 7 years with the Bureau of Vocational Education. The number of technical vocational schools has significantly increased from 112 in school year 1959 to 1960 to 196 in school year 1965 to 1966. After the period of growth, PVE grew steadily during the 26 years reign of President Marcos. As he promulgated the Republic Act No. 5462, also known as the Manpower and Out-of-School Youth Development Act, in relation to this is the Manpower Planning Agency, called National Manpower and Youth Council, was created. While the number of public institutions of higher learning increased from 8 state colleges and universities to 29. Most of these states or schools of agriculture or arts and trades were established during the 1960s to 1972. PVE continued to develop even during the martial law. 9 days after the proclamation of former President Marcos promulgated Presidential Decree Number 6A, known as the Educational Development Decree of 1972, to ensure maximum contribution of the educational system to the attainment of the goals of the national development. The Education Department was also reorganized, which resulted in the abolition of the Bureau of Vocational Education. The line function of this bureau were transferred to the Department of Education and Culture. Another milestone for technical and vocational education during this period is the creation of Technical Panel for Agriculture Education, which is a consultative advisory and policy recommending body concerning agricultural education in this country. During the third period of the Marcos era, he promulgated MEC Order No. 48, Series of 1979, in which the order prescribes the vocational training completed by a student in a specific vocation for at least 1 year may be credited to an identical vocational or practical arts course offered in the school where he is enrolled. In support of the overall development of fishery as a major Philippine industry, 7 regional Institute of Fishery Technology from among existing fishery education institutions were established. And to establish and maintain a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the goals of national development, Batas Pambansa Bilang 232, entitled An Act Providing for the Establishment and Maintenance of the Integrated System of Education, was enacted in 1982. We are almost a step closer in the 20th century. We are now moving on with one of the most remarkable periods of our country. Let us wander back to EDSA Revolution and see how TVE was developed during the period. Like the previous administrations, the government under President Aquino considers education and manpower development as a major instrument in accelerating the country's development. Less than 1 month after her oath-taking as President of the Philippines, she promulgated the Memorandum Circular Number 4 on March 18, 1986, directing the formulation of the medium-term Philippine Development Plan for 1987 to 1992 to guide development efforts during this period. She also aimed to systematize the planning, promotion, and implementation of technology education programs to avoid duplication of efforts and confusion. Text Order Number 36, a series of 1987, was promulgated to define the function of the mentioned bureaus with respect to the technical and vocational education. And one of the major changes in TVE that we are very much aware of is in the field of education is the implementation of CBI, an instructional approach that became very popular in the United States of America in 1970s, which emphasizes the ability to demonstrate competence or skills as the evidence of learning. The Technical Education Skills Development Authority or TESDA that we know was established on August 25, 1994 and was signed into law by President Fidel V. Ramos. And this agency continued to develop the Filipino workforce and provides quality technical education and skills development through its direction, policies, and programs. Other significant development is the shift to K-12 basic education program with a distinct technical, vocational, and livelihood track that provides students with an opportunity to acquire national certificate for courses that follow TESDA's training regulations. And TESDA lifted the image of TechBook by an act strengthening the ladderized interface between technical vocational education and training and higher education, otherwise known as the Ladderized Education Act of 2014, that allows students and workers to progress between technical vocational education programs or vice versa, and opens opportunities for career and educational advancements for students and workers. TVE is recognized to be a crucial vehicle for social equity, inclusion, and sustainable development. And we have learned how it has gone for a rich history and has never stopped in developing better ways of delivering work-based learning and training to continue professional skills development. You have just watched the development of TVE in the Philippines from post-war to present. Again, this is the amazing SBTE Group 2 channel, the channel of TVE. This has been Kathleen Gahunya, bringing you the updates about TVE in the Philippines. Thank you for being with us.
You have just watched the development of technical vocational education in the Philippines from the pre-Spanish colonization, Spanish period, American occupation, Japanese period, and post-war to present. Again, this is the amazing SVTE Group 2 channel, the channel of Technical Vocational Education. This has been Marian,
Evangeline,
Kathleen Gahunya,
And Cheryl Cordova, bringing you the updates about the technical vocational education in the Philippines.
thank you for being with us.